Well, I'm on my way to get my ears lowered, and then I'm supposed to meet somebody an hour away to buy a GoPro 5 in the box for $60. So I'm looking forward to that. So, I got my schedules all screwed up. I'm supposed to get my ears lowered at 10 o'clock, and I was busy doing shipping and stuff like that, and I thought it was at 10:30, and I really did a great job of scheduling all of this so that I would meet him and get the GoPro 5 after I got my ears lowered. But then Myrna just let me know that I was supposed to be there at 10 o'clock, and it was 10:15 at the time. And I was just heading out. So she did a great job of rescheduling it for me. So I just flip-flopped, told the guy I was going to be there early, and he didn't have a problem with that. And I'll just get my ears lowered after lunch. I'll still get my ears lowered. I'll still get my GoPro. I'm a happy man. Because I can take this time to catch up on the little things with people. I've had a lot of people asking me questions about my name and things like that, so give you guys a little bit of history about me. My wife Myrna and I are both musicians, professional musicians. She is a fiddle player. She's the star of the family. She's still playing. She plays down at Tootsie's at Lower Broadway in Nashville. If you're familiar with the Nashville show, have you ever been to Nashville? You've been downtown to the Lower Broadway area where all the honky-tonks are, and that's where she plays. She also does a lot of session work. She does road work as well, but she likes to try to keep it home. I, on the other hand, have been retired for quite a few years for a number of reasons. Initially, I just got kind of burnt out. I got tired of playing for 4 hours and then having to roll my stuff across the street and play for another 4 hours with no breaks. The money can be good if the people are tipping. The clubs, if you're lucky, they may pay you 45 bucks. Usually if it's an off night, they'll pay you more like 20 bucks, and then you make it all in tips. So the tips aren't there, you don't make it. And if you got any musicians out there, any bass players or drummers, then you know the drummers and bass players work really close together. There's been quite a few times that I've showed up at a gig and I looked over at the drummer, he looked over at me, and we both went, oh, thank God. Because if the drummer's off and you're a bass player, then your life is going to be miserable. If you guys click in, then it's going to be great. My favorite drummer that I've ever played with and really good friend was Taylor Swift's original drummer. And I would play anywhere for any gig with that man. I've done some sessions with him. It's really good. So anyway, I played for 36 years. I am mostly a bass player. That's where I made most of my money. I've also, I'm a writer. I've produced and engineered in the studio and played in the studio. I've also engineered live. The guy behind the board. I play keyboards, percussion, drum machine, guitar, gosh, just about anything that you put in my hands except for fiddle, I can play. I used to be able to play. I actually have had some health issues, and that's why I'm doing reselling. And my muscles just kind of attacked me, and I'm not able to play right now. I have to actually start from scratch, which is not a big deal. I don't like to share any kind of challenges unless there's a win that goes along with it. And I have a win with my health. I quit playing music. It was only going to be temporary, just to get my breath. And I started working with a company that I had been working ever since I was in Nashville, off and on, doing part-time and stuff like that when my one business would stop or playing would slow down, and I just picked things up. Well, I started playing with them It's a major company, retail company. You would know the name if I told you. I worked in their shipping department for about 7 years the last time. Worked in the mail department all the other times. As a matter of fact, that's where I got this van. Right before I retired, they were selling this van because there's nothing but scared. Well, they were all women, but that wasn't the reason. Women can definitely drive this van. Anybody can do it. I know women that are better drivers than I am. But they were scared to drive this van because it was so big, even though they only had to drive about 3 miles to the post office every day, twice a day. So anyway, I got this van. Long story short, got it for $1,700. It had 60,000 miles on it. It was a 96, and it had only been driven back and forth 5 days a week to the post office. Had brand new tires, great deal, and I love it. It's a cargo van, it's already set up and everything. So anyway, between that job and the things that I had to do, and I won't go into all of that, I had to do a lot of things that I didn't have to. I make my own choices, but I decided to do so I could keep the job.
Welcome to Kentucky.
Thank you for welcoming me to Kentucky. So I could keep the job that were physically unbelievable. The people still, and I still don't know how I possibly did some of this stuff for as long as I did. But the result of that was that I developed a muscle condition. That, along with my whole entire life, I've always been Superman. I don't use dollies. I've always lifted stuff. You can't tell it now, but I used to be really muscular. I used to really work out till I had to have surgery, and I wasn't able to work out for 2 years, and that stopped that. So anyway, the problem was that my muscles, especially around my neck, but also in my back and my legs, just didn't want to relax. They all wanted to stay active, which means my muscles were fighting each other. And these muscles right here were also cutting off circulation to my brain, which led to brain fog, dizziness, ears ringing, lack of energy, and all that kind of stuff. So when I figured out that it was the job that was causing it, I had to quit. And luckily, I'd been selling already for about 2 years on eBay part-time. And so I just moved right into this because it was something that I could do as I could do it. And God has been good to me through the use of YouTube and some amazing people, teachers. I've learned so much about the muscular stretch system and the skeletal system and how they work together. And I do 45 minutes to an hour's worth of stretching, yogic style stretching every morning. I have to actually start from scratch every morning, but once I get stretched, I'll put a video of me stretching. It's amazing. Right now I should be a yogi. I should be able to throw my legs over my head. But anyway, so between diet and between trying all kinds of different things, I've gone from 60% disabled when I quit 5 years ago to, I have bad days, but and I can't do as much as most people do, and I'm still working on being able to keep up a good schedule. But now I'd say probably maybe 20-30% on a bad day, and maybe 10%, 10, 15, 20% on a good day. So anyway, that's why I'm a reseller. That's why I'm doing it full time. And I share the stuff that I do that's successful for me. I don't expect anybody else to do it. I'm not telling anybody this is the way to do it. Matter of fact, a lot of the things like my schedule and things I have to work around it, you absolutely do not want to do. Bearded Picker often says if you're not listing 5 items or more a day, then you're going backwards. So you need to get to where you are listing, sourcing, listing. And then you're going to be able to have cash flow. You'll be able to keep your inventory up. with me, what I have to do, which works out great because I'm able to do it, is I find mostly home runs, stuff that I can pay very little money for and that I can make a lot more money. That way I don't have to list as much as often. I've got I average around 200 items in my inventory, and my average sale is probably, I don't know for a fact, but it's probably $80 to $100, and that might be more because I have had quite a few over $1,000 sales. So anyway, that's how I do things. But I've learned a lot about what to do, what not to do. I've been in businesses, I've had businesses, and I've helped other people with their businesses my whole entire adult life. So I know a lot about business, which helps. Being a performer for 36 years helps me on YouTube. Just started doing this, and I'm really loving it. I'm loving the community. And so I actually started reselling because my mother-in-law and my father-in-law put that in my last video. So you can go back and watch that. That's why I started getting into antiques and vintage stuff. Started going to yard sales mostly because Myrna and I just love people, and that's a great way to visit with people and learn about people and stuff like that. Meet new friends. I still love that part of it probably more than anything. That led us to estate sales, and at the time we were living in a split level duplex townhouse, and it absolutely just got to the point where I had to get rid of stuff. I had to stop getting stuff, which was really difficult. As I'm sure all of you guys know, got the bug. So I realized that I could sell this stuff on eBay, and I had already been looking things up because I was always checking to see what I got, what kind of deals I got, and checking on eBay to see what they sold for, just so I would know. I also got really good at doing research, and I'm talking about rabbit hole research. Some of my items, it's taken me as much as 2 years to be able to discover things about them and do research. I love that part of it. I've had to control that because most of the items, I rented a lot of stuff that I've never seen before, and I do need to learn about it. But most of the items, I just need to know what it's sold for. And I need to know if it has all its parts and if it's working. And if it's not working, can I fix it? If it's dirty, can I clean it? And how much money I'm going to make? And let's get this sucker gone. So that's how I started reselling. Started doing it part-time, like I said. And now I've been doing it full-time, going on about 5 years now. And I was doing about 2 years before that. So I've been doing this for quite a long time, and I love it. I have a passion for it. I actually right now have more of a passion for it than I do music, which is really weird because I never thought I'd ever say that. If there's any musicians out there that are professional musicians, you got a couple kinds. You got the kind that got into the music business for chicks and booze and drugs and having a great time and partying, which is not nearly as much as it used to be when I first started. And the further up you go on the totem pole in music, the less of that there is, because the less time there is for it. And then you've got the ones that just, they just like being their own boss, and then they can play music, so let's do it. And then you have those that music has always been a part of them. It's a passion. It's like an arm or a leg. It's something you can't do without. You hear music constantly. My absolute favorite movie in the world is August Rush. Check that movie out and you'll understand. So I never thought that I'd ever not be a musician. I never thought that I'd ever say that I was passionate about something more than music. But I'm still passionate about music. If I could get into producing, get my own studio, and just do nothing but writing, I would love that. I've done a lot of writing in the past. I've written a lot of songs. I've written a lot of some jingles. I've written some prose. I've got a poetry book of 72 poems that's published. So I really enjoy all that. I don't have the time for it. I've also, since I've been in as a reseller, I had to learn the craft. I've never taken pictures before, and I had to learn how to do it. I got myself a nice DSL camera, and I did a rabbit hole. When I'm like a dog with a bone. When I get a hold of something, I just don't let it go. And I realized on a trip out to Colorado that I had accidentally become a photographer. So I love taking photography, especially nature stuff. Don't have a lot of time for that because I'm investing in almost all my time into doing this. So income-wise, I am a full-time reseller because I do this full-time. Income-wise is getting better and better. Last year I averaged just under 20,000 for me alone. And with Myrna's playing, we did a lot more than that. She's well established and she's highly paid. This year it's going to be quite a bit more than that. But I'm still on the way to building this business so that it is self-sufficient. I plan within the next year or so to be able to, if she wants to cut back on her playing, or if she just wants to stop and start doing this with me, which we've talked about, and just play for fun whenever she gets a wild hair, then we'll be able to do that. In this business, you can absolutely do that. So anyway, that's my story. Like I said, I wasn't necessarily going to share the challenges. Everybody has challenges. But there is a win to it. The nice thing about this business is you can make it. If you get the right mindset, you do the right networking, you learn, you duplicate from other people who have had success, and then you create your own systems after you get that down. And mostly just work hard. You got to have a good work ethic. You can make some money at this. And you can escalate it on up. It can lead to other things. I know people that are making really good money. I mean, 6 figures and above. But the nice thing for me is this is something that I could do when I couldn't do anything else. And wow, whew, why did that choke me up? Anyway, so this is an amazing business, and that's the win. I'm sure there's other people out there that are long in the tooth like me. I just turned 55. Still got a lot of great years. I'm still young. My wife is 36. She keeps me young. I'm so blessed with Myrna, you would not believe. So anyway, I'm about to get to the GoPro 5 guy, and I might make a video on the way back so I can compare it to this one, because I may wind up selling this 3 Plus and upgrading to the 5. So I just realized that I never did answer the question about my name. So when I was, I used to play with Ike Turner Jr., Ike and Tina Turner's son. I did some recording with him. That was an amazing trip. I learned a lot about the music business from some top people. We cut an album. That's where I learned how to be in the studio. His dad supplied all the equipment for a studio that we were recording at. So we were able to go in for free if we did it between 11 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the morning. So I learned a lot about writing, a lot about studio work back in the days when it was what they call tape. I like the digital, but I miss the tape. Anyway, that fell apart, and we won't get into that. No need to bash anybody. But anyway, I came back to Fort Walton Beach. I was just going to spend the summer on the beach, and then I was heading to Atlanta because the music business was booming back then. And my mom talked me into going back to college, so I went back. I wasn't degree seeking. I just took elected courses. Funny enough, they were elected courses that most people dread. I took music theory, And it was amazing. I failed music theory when I was in high school, but after playing professionally at that time for about 7 years, I understood it. And we had to change teachers. Unfortunately, our professor died halfway through. So we got the stage band director, the band director, and he used to do arrangements and play trombone with Tommy Dorsett back in the day, the big brass day, and he knew a lot of people. I had some great stories. Anyway, I got to. He let me come in and jam with the band, the jazz band. I would come in. I would play percussion, of all things. I would come in halfway through their class, and I'd start bringing out the congas and all the percussion stuff, and I would just play. So I got to know the drummer and the guitar player really well, and we would go into the band room.
In 2 miles, use the right 2 lanes to take
and we would just jam. I mean, we would jam for hours, just nonstop, just really intricate stuff, really fun. I wish I had the tapes of that. It was a lot of fun. So anyway, those guys would come to see me play. And at the time, I was playing with a couple of guys, and we were playing Chicago swing. Basically, everything we were playing was Chicago swing, and very repetitious. We were playing the American Legion Lodge, and for someone in the early 20s, it was boring stuff. So I decided that I was either going to get my skills were either going to go downhill or I was going to hone them and step up to the challenge. So I decided to step up to the challenge, and I would do different grooves for songs that basically had the exact same bass line. So these guys came and saw me play, and I got the nickname Groove Master because my grooves were changing constantly, and I had different grooves for everything. So that name actually kind of stuck after the years, and my first email account was groovemaster@hotmail.com, and I didn't know how to spell Groove Master, so I spelled it with a U, and that just kind of stuck, and that's what people knew me as Groove Master with a U. I had a guy that I was producing here in Nashville. He was a singer-songwriter, and his father was backing him. He was an oil man from Texas. Amazing talent and just a great guy. I loved his father. I loved working with him. But I was going to go in business with him, and that kind of fell through. But I was going to use Groove Master for the business, and my sister created that animation that you see at the very beginning of my videos, and I actually used some tracks from one of this guy's demos, and his name is John Swat, by the way. So anyway, when I started searching the URLs and searching Groove Master spelled with a U, I noticed that a lot of people were using it. That spelling was very, very popular, but there was even people on YouTube already, but no one was smart enough to brand it, to get the URL and stuff. So I went ahead and bought it, and since I'd already bought it, I kept it, and when I started doing YouTube, it just made a lot of sense to just keep the name and keep the branding. So that's where Groove Master came about. Long story made even longer. Ta-da! Got all my hairs shortened. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. You never would have thought that when I moved to Nashville, I had hair down to my belt. I had long hair for most of my adult life until I moved here. Once I actually worked up to working slowly up to this point, it's like I could not stand having long hair again. So anyway, I'm going to get me some... So I guess the battery died on my GoPro. I just uploaded the video clips to put this together and realized that one of them didn't even record and the other one cut off right at the end. So anyway, the GoPro turned out to be a little bit of a disappointment. I got there and it wasn't a GoPro 5. The guy's wife listed that, and it was a GoPro Hero. It was black. Unfortunately, I had searched the GoPro Hero Plus HD, which goes for about $150, $160, sometimes $170 new. But this one, even though it had never been used, which is good, this one only goes for tops about $80. Now with that SD card, it's a 32 gig, and I know I just bought one, so that's about $20, $25. So I've got to decide what I'm going to do with that. I'll probably, if I sell the whole thing as it is, I'll probably make about $20. But I went ahead and got it. I got it for $60 like he had asked for because I thought it was something else. That's actually one of my biggest challenges is making sure that what I'm searching, what I'm looking at in the search is the same thing that I'm looking at in front of me. So that's a learning point, definitely. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, hit the like button, subscribe, share, hit the ringy-dingy thing so you're notified next time I make a video. And as always, no matter what tune that life plays you, always find your groove and come back and see me.